The infamous Gilgo Beach murders, a series of gruesome killings that have haunted Long Island for over 2 decades, took a dark turn when investigators linked Rex Heuermann, a 60-year-old architectural consultant, to 2 additional murders. Thanks to advanced forensic testing, authorities matched hairs found near the bodies of Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla to Heuermann's DNA, unraveling a story of meticulous planning and horrifying violence. On a fateful Thursday, a grand jury indicted Heuermann for the murders of Jessica Taylor, 20, in 2003, and Sandra Costilla, 28, in 1993. Taylor, an escort working in New York City, disappeared in 2003. Her remains were partially discovered in Manorville later that year, with further discoveries in 2011 along Ocean Parkway, the same road where other Gilgo Beach victims were found. Costilla, originally from Trinidad and Tobago, had been living in New York City before her body was found in the Long Island hamlet of North Sea in 1993. Both women had suffered horrific fates, their bodies dismembered and mutilated in ways that chillingly matched details found in Heuermann's planning document, discovered on a hard drive during a recent search of his Massapequa Park home. The document revealed Heuermann's methodical approach to his crimes. Sections titled Body Prep, Things to Remember, and Post-Event painted a disturbing picture of his calculated cruelty. Instructions to remove head and hands, wash the inside and all cavities, and reminders to change tires, burn gloves, and dispose of pics highlighted the level of premeditation involved. In the Things to Remember section, Heuermann emphasized practical lessons from previous murders, such as the importance of sleeping well before a hunt and using thick rope to limit noise and increase playtime. The document also listed potential dumping sites and supplies, with a separate section on potential pitfalls, such as leaving behind bloodstains or hair and fiber evidence. Investigators now believe that Heuermann carried out the torture inside his home, exploiting times when his family was away on vacation. Entries expressing concerns about how sound travel support this theory, suggesting that he took great care to avoid detection during his heinous acts. During their search of Heuermann's home, police found a book by retired FBI agent John Douglas, The Cases That Haunt Us, along with references to Douglas's other work, Mindhunter, which explores the psychology of serial killers. These finds suggest that Heuermann studied these profiles to enhance his own strategies, making him an even more formidable foe for investigators. Jessica Taylor's case had long puzzled authorities. After her disappearance in 2003, parts of her body were discovered in Manorville, with additional remains found in 2011 along Ocean Parkway. Taylor had been decapitated and her arms severed, with a tattoo on her torso brutally obliterated. Witnesses reported seeing a blue vehicle near the site where her body was found, prompting Heuermann to search online for a vehicle identical to his own, but of a different color. In April, investigators searched a property in North Sea, Long Island, where Costilla's body was found in 1993. Forensic examiners identified hairs on her remains that matched Heuermann and an unnamed woman he was living with at the time. This discovery indicated that Heuermann's killing spree spanned decades, much longer than initially suspected. The Gilgo Beach murders have been under investigation since 2010, involving the deaths of at least 10 individuals, mostly female sex workers, whose remains were found along a remote highway on Long Island's South Shore. The fragmented and prolonged nature of these investigations made progress difficult, but Heuermann's recent arrest has provided a significant breakthrough. Heuermann was initially linked to the murders through DNA found on the burlap used to transport the victims' bodies. The DNA matched samples taken from a discarded pizza crust and napkin outside Heuermann's Manhattan office, boasting a 99.96% match. Additionally, his Chevrolet Avalanche was connected to the crime scenes via cell phone records, and he allegedly used burner phones to contact each victim. Adding to the horror, Heuermann taunted the families of his victims. He used one victim's phone to make threatening calls to her family, boasting about his deeds and tracking their movements. Melissa Barthelomy's sister Melissa recalled receiving these horrifying calls. At his court hearing, Heuermann pleaded not guilty and was held without bail. Meanwhile, Ves Mitev, a lawyer representing Heuermann's adult children, stated that the family was closely monitoring the developments, lamenting their role as unfortunate bystanders in this macabre saga. The revelations about Heuermann's alleged crimes and the detailed planning involved have sent shockwaves through the community, bringing a sense of closure yet profound horror to the families of the victims. Heuermann's indictment for the murders of Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla has shed new light on the extent of his crimes. The evidence gathered from his home, including the planning document, books on serial killers, and forensic matches, points to a deeply calculated and methodical killer who managed to evade detection for years. Jessica Taylor's case is particularly harrowing. Her decapitation and the removal of her arms, along with the obliteration of her tattoo, demonstrated a level of brutality that shocked even seasoned investigators. The meticulous planning Heuermann put into each murder, as outlined in his document, shows a man who was not only committed to his heinous acts, but also obsessed with perfecting his methods to avoid capture. Sandra Costilla's murder, dating back to 1993, reveals the long span of Heuermann's killing spree. The forensic evidence linking him to hairs found on her remains, along with the identification of an unnamed woman he lived with at the time, indicates a chilling continuity in his methods and a cold-blooded approach to selecting and disposing of his victims. Since 2010, the Gilgo Beach murders have cast a long shadow over Long Island. The discovery of multiple victims along Ocean Parkway during the search for Shannon Gilbert, an escort from New Jersey who vanished in May 2010, highlighted the grim reality of a serial killer at work. Gilbert's disappearance and the subsequent discovery of her body in December 2011 led to the unearthing of the Gilgo Four, four women whose remains were found in close proximity, triggering a larger investigation. Despite the extensive investigation, progress was slow. The victims, mostly female sex workers, had disappeared over a span of at least 14 years, and police made only halting progress in identifying possible suspects. Investigators long believed that not all the deaths were the work of the same killer, adding to the complexity of the case. The link to Heuermann brought new hope to the investigation. The DNA evidence found on the burlap used to transport the bodies, coupled with cell phone records and witness testimonies, provided a strong case against him. The detailed planning document further solidified the case, revealing the cold and calculated nature of his crimes. The human toll of Heuermann's actions is immeasurable. Families of the victims, like Melissa Barthelomy's sister, who received taunting calls from the killer, have lived in a state of fear and uncertainty for years. The discovery of the planning document, with its chilling instructions and detailed notes, adds a layer of horror to an already gruesome story. Forensic examiners continue to work diligently, hoping to uncover more connections and bring justice to the victims and their families. The painstaking process of matching DNA evidence and piecing together the fragmented details of each case is a testament to the dedication of the investigators. The arrest and indictment of Rex Heuermann have left the Long Island community in shock. The revelations about his alleged crimes and the extent of his planning have brought a mix of relief and horror. For years, residents lived with the fear of an unknown predator in their midst, and now, as details of Heuermann's meticulous planning and brutal methods come to light, the community grapples with the reality of his actions. The case has also sparked renewed interest in the psychology of serial killers and the methods used by law enforcement to track them down. The discovery of books by John Douglas in Heuermann's possession highlights the intersection of criminal behavior and psychological profiling, offering a glimpse into the mind of a calculated killer. As the investigation continues, authorities are committed to uncovering the full extent of Heuermann's crimes. The detailed planning document, the forensic evidence, and the testimonies of witnesses all form a complex puzzle that investigators are determined to solve. For the families of the victims, the road to justice is long and fraught with pain. The arrest of Heuermann offers a glimmer of hope, but the wounds of their loss remain deep. As new evidence emerges and the case against Heuermann proceeds, the community stands together, united in their pursuit of justice and the hope that no more families will have to endure the pain they have experienced. The chilling tale of the Gilgo Beach murders serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. It is a story of meticulous planning, brutal violence, and the relentless pursuit of justice. As investigators continue their work, the legacy of the victims lives on, their memories a beacon in the ongoing fight against the horrors of a calculated killer.